After months of quarantine, we're all interested in how we can become our best self. The team at Permanent Makeup and Cryo is here to help you get the flawless makeup look every day without the extra effort or time. When it comes to your appearance, you deserve the best care that money can buy.
One of the newest tracks of the iRacing.com sim, Fuji International Speedway, is the final test for the Simpit Road Racing Series this season. So many of these drivers have long been members on iRacing and seen dozens of tracks be added to the sim, but this may be one of the most challenging for them, and it comes in for the final race of the season to decide our championship. Hi, welcome to Pit Stop TV in the virtual Fuji, Japan. I'm Andrew Cardinale, joined today, of course, by Emerson Arden, and 9 rounds are complete, Emerson, and that leaves just one today, of course, and we are in the virtual shadow of Mount Fuji, one of the most spectacular places to be ever, and we're crowning a couple of champions today.
Absolutely, Andrew. It is a fantastic sight to crown some champions of this afternoon, and of course, one of the newer tracks on the sim brings a different challenges that these drivers are going to face tonight. Our title battles are pretty intriguing as well. I believe the amateur battle with Sancinelli is pretty much wrapped up if he just shows up. But it's still very intriguing on the pro side of things.
I think everything about today's race is compelling. Here's a look, of course, at the Fuji International Speedway in Oyama, Japan. And just once again, thanks for joining. Thanks for being here. This has been a wild season, 10 races strong now as we join you from round number 10. Let's take a look at our track map first off, and of course, the Fuji International Speedway. Here we go. This is one of the longest straightaways that you see in racing, frankly. It's not quite COTA long, but it is one of the longer ones that you see, and it all leads down to a very sharp turn 1 that is actually very, very difficult to make, even with high downforce. Turn 2, though, much easier as you head down to Coca-Cola Corner. 100R is made up of 2 apexes, really 3 even, of turns 4 and 5 before you head to the hairpin. That's back uphill, and in fact you see it now on your screen. Well, there we go. Turn 7, very much is an easy bend. That brings you right back around the double apex 8 and 9 of 300R and into Dunlop. Usually there would be a chicane there, but we are running the no chicane variant of Fuji today, and that takes you back uphill to turn 11, 12, 13, and 14, one of the tightest complexes you'll see in motorsport, and it is one of the most exciting complexes if you have side-by-side racing to that point through the Panasonic corner. That's a lap around Fuji, though. Emerson, let's quickly just talk about standings. That's the talk of the town, of course. Here we go, your championship picture into the final race of the season.
Yeah, and we look at it here again. Randall White, 20 points back of Todd Alea. So this gap is very much attainable for Randall White. Should Alea finish 5th and Randall White wins. At that point, if Randall White were to win, that would tie them on wins, and well, we'd have a tie there. But this is also asking a lot because Todd Alea has not finished lower than 3rd since race 2 on the season, and he did not race 1. So again, that is also asking Alea to do something he hasn't done in a couple months here in the Simpit Road Racing League. And on the amateur side, of course, Sancinelli, a 41-point advantage over David Payne. That's it's gonna be a Hail Mary. And I think it also will depend on car count for amateur class, and I don't see us hitting that specific car count that David Payne needs to close that gap.
No, so long as Edgar Sancinelli starts today's race, he takes home the championship. Even if we had, say, 24 cars in AM class, he would still earn 5 points just by starting the race. So as long as there are less than 20... he locks up the championship, but there's only 20 cars here today total. So Edgar Sancinelli, so long as he takes the green flag today, is your amateur class champion. And you summed everything up in the pro class very nicely. Sam Holt not here today. Joe Antonio technically in it, but realistically too far back. Again, so long as Todd Alea takes the green flag, and Randall White just has to win. That's all it comes down to. He can't really control where Todd finishes, so Randall just has to win to give himself a chance today at the championship. Qualifying now beginning, and let's start off with our championship contenders. First on track, it is that baby blue Porsche, Todd Alea.
Todd again, and has reason to, but has carried himself with a lot of confidence this season. Coming into this week, he's performed very, very well. We of course saw Todd Alea do his thing to close down the gap and overtake Randall White on the last lap at Le Mans. Comes home with a second place finish after Terry Crouch's issues at Sebring. Again, Padley has been on a long stretch of podiums now, spanning 7 races, and Alea is looking to just do his thing tonight to lock it up.
And I think Le Mans was the deciding factor in the championship, frankly. I really feel like that made the biggest swing in points that we could have asked for, and just started off. Of course, Randall White not being here last week is a big part of it too, but welcome back to Pit Stop TV. We're waiting to join back into the session mid-qualifying as, well, I think it was very apparent we had a bit of a connection issue there, so we are getting back into the session. We will still have the broadcast. Everything is okay, just sometimes we have those hiccups and we run with the punches, roll with the punches, however you want to put it, as we get back into the session here. Emerson, I'm excited to see how qualifying goes. We were just talking about how important Le Mans was to the season as a whole. I think this qualifying session will be as well.
Absolutely. Again, Randall White needs to keep himself up front, and very much is looking to do so. Has not set a time yet, so we'll have to see where Randall White goes. We rejoined the qualifying session here, and look at Terry Crouch, who's currently atop the charts. Somebody who could play a little spoiler to Randall White's plan, and he's gonna go off course and off track there. A little bit of a slide. That'll do it for that lap for Terry Crouch.
Randall White is on track. He has already turned 1 lap. This is his second qualifying lap, his second flying lap. Hopefully it is clean as Johnny Alford of the Corvette goes to pole. Randall White, though, well, he does at a time. 5th quick. It is a 1:32.32. So he does go 5th quick. Johnny Alford of the Corvette. This is spectacular. And I want to mention something I saw while building the track map graphic here. In each of the classes where you would expect, say, the Porsche or the Ferrari or a car like that to dominate, be it GTE, GT3, what have you, that was not the case. The lap record in GTE, which I can only assume was set this past week as official series went to Fuji, that was set by a Ford GT, Emerson. The fastest lap in GTE here was set by a Ford GT that nobody runs because it's apparently too hard to drive. Well, clearly not for Shun Katwalter Sato. I'm sorry that I can't say that name correctly, but apparently Sato found it easy enough. And in GT3, It's the brand new Mercedes that has not led a single track that we've gone to previously. When we do the lap records here on the left side of the screen, I'm sure maybe people don't look at it, but I do. I can take note of all of those, and this is a complete wild card, it seems like, not only with this track, but with this no chicane variant. Even in LMP1, the Audi R18 usually dominates lap records, but it's the Porsche that's faster here. So very much, I think this is going to be a bit of an oddball track for these guys, and the Corvette of Johnny Alford is currently on pole. That might change here, though. Terry Crouch across the line. Does he go any faster? The answer is no. That was an outlap. We'll see what he can do this lap.
We'll see what Terry Crouch then can do. Alea as well, looking to just kind of solidify what he's got here at Fuji. But again, a very impressive run for Johnny Alford, and who knows, today could just be that kind of a day where things get turned upside down. So we'll see. It's Dan Clark over Santinelli in the amateur category by 22 100ths. Sorry, 1000ths.
Yeah, sorry, I was just checking on another thing there, and you're right. In the amateur class, things are very tight. Ed Santinelli off pole by just 22 100ths of a second. No. 22 1,000ths, that's right, 2.2 100ths of a second, if you will, off of Dan Clark, who makes a return to the top of the speed charts, it looks like, in amateur. Nice to see that. Ken Estep also pretty quick in amateur with Moza there on the side of the car. Ken is currently third in amateur qualifying. David Payne is currently fourth, but 13th overall. And Christian Clark, as, David Payne, I think, showing his frustration there. Christian Clark in his Corvette is currently 14th overall, 5th in class.
Here comes Terry Crouch. Out of Panasonic corner and to the line. And
it's faster.
It'll be wow. Was it enough?
I think so. Waiting on the time to actually...
Wasn't.
Wow, 42 1,000th of a second. Nearly enough. I thought it was. I had the math clearly off, but fantastic lap for Terry. And that's it for his qualifying run. He's not getting another lap in.
So Alford does stay ahead of Crouch. We still wait on the rest of the pro competitors and Alea, Antonio.
Alea won't get another lap in. He's just leaving the pit box. Joey Antonio might. Let's watch this Porsche. The Porsches have been the better car all season long, but it seems like we might have a Corvette on pole in the final race. Joey Antonio up out of the final corner, down the long front straightaway. And this is an outlap, so he's going to have to take one more lap at it, and it's going to have to be perfect. Randall White, meanwhile, just into turn one. He just began a new lap.
And all you can out of the session, right? If the track temp has been going down over the course of the 10-minute session, go out as late as you can, get to the line and get a lap started. The iRacing does give you plenty of runoff time to complete your timed lap, and these drivers are looking to do so here. Randall White, this is on the way out of 100R and up to the hairpin.
Checkers on the session, 2 minutes added. Sean Cole also on track in position 14. He just moved up. Here's Todd Alea. It looks like the sim is... no. That was still his outlap, so he should not have a chance, it looks like, to qualify as he exits the Panasonic corner. Joey Antonio has ended his run early, so here we go. Randall White. Could this be the difference maker in the championship between he and Todd Alea? He comes up over turn 11 through turn 12. He's going to take the apex at 13. Nice and tidy there to the inside. And this Porsche certainly looks poised, but is it enough to nab the pole from the Corvette?
And now the very long run to the line, Andrew. This line is so far away from the exit of the corner.
He's going to pit. That's it. I can't believe he's pitting. He had another shot there. Wow.
Wow.
We have
nobody else out there.
Yeah, we have a Corvette on pole. Todd Alea is still on track, but he's not going to be able to get that lap time in. At least he shouldn't be. The sim might let him. We'll follow this just in case as he tries to move up from the third position. He's looking at second, but he needed 3/10 for it. And needs a total of 3.5 tenths for pole.
might be just a run to practice pit entry at race speed, because this is an awkward pit entry. It is parallel to the straightaway, but there is a big curve right there at the entry. So this may just be a run to get around the track at race pace and do it.
Waiting on a layout around the final corner. And if he comes into the pits, you'll see exactly what Emerson's talking about here up out of turn 14. He's going to go for the line. He's trying to get this lap in. We'll see if iRacing allows him to get this lap in to the start-finish line. Is it going to count? That lap would have moved him nowhere. And does not count. He will stay exactly in the third position with the existing time that he had. So iRacing did exactly as we expected there, and he will not take pole. Let's take a look at how we got here this season. Circuit of the Americas way back at round 1 in October. On October 2nd, Emerson. That's crazy to think. Way back in October, and here we are December 4th, wrapping up a season.
Right. I was able to come on board for the opening round of the season there at Coda, and wasn't sure what to expect. We hadn't had GTEs on the channel. We're still, really figuring out the key differences between the GT3 and the GTE and how they race against one another. But it's been a fantastic season for the races I've been able to cover. Amazing races each and every week. And we all come down to Fuji. It's a great schedule too. Feels very Americanized for half of it, but we hit some of the key tracks around the world as well, with Silverstone, Monza, Red Bull Ring, some fan favorites at Le Mans with so much importance to it. Great schedule, and whoever comes out on top today, very deserving.
The field will take to the grid and get ready for race number 10 on the season. You can see all of the races, all the rounds listed here, 1 through 10. But let's go ahead and meet your starting grid for today. And on pole, again, this is just so staggering to see. Johnny Alford in the Corvette on pole. A Ferrari will start from second. That is Terry Crouch. Starting third, you will find car 27. That's Todd Alea with the championship lead into today by by a whole 20 points. Joe Antonio starts from fourth. And starting fifth, it's second in the standings. Randall White, he's got to make up those 20 points. He has got to win today. Starting sixth, it's James Dowling. Seventh, it'll be Sam Hinchy. Eighth is Dan Clark. Around at your top 10, it's actually Dan Clark is on pole in amateur, but then you have Ed Sancinelli and Kenny Stepp.
Row number 6 will find the 004 of Clint Fletcher. The 111 of Dale Maxwell starts in 12th. Find our way back to row number 7. It'll be 13th position. David Payne there in the 73. The 39 of Sean Cole will start in 14th. Row number 8 will find the 72 of Christian Clark. The 13 of Olaf Sarnquist. And find our way back to row number 9. It'll be position number 17 starter Wouter Van Morik in the 668 and Chris Schulteis there in the 008. And the final row of our grid this evening, Mike Nickham in the 56, Brandon Carl in the 77.
Way out front, Johnny Alford, your pole sitter today. That's still just staggering to me as we await the official call to start this race today. The pace car leading us down this long front straightaway still has not peeled off into the pit lane. It's going to do so rather late. There we go. Finally dips down into the pits, and Johnny Alford will lead us to the green today as we await the field down the front stretch. It's the final round of 10 in the Simpit Road Racing Series in 2022 Season 4, and we are green from Fuji. The hairpin for the first time. The Corvette and the Ferrari scoot away nicely. Joe Antonio takes over third. Todd Alea fourth. Randall White still fifth as they work out of the hairpin here. And some side-by-sides and maybe a little bit of contact in the back.
All in all, though, a clean start through the first two-thirds of the lap here at the Fuji Speedway. And it's a good-looking field size. You get a good look of all the elevation change on this course, what makes it crazy and difficult for these drivers. All the elevation changes, the car was shifts, and here we go. This is Crouch on Johnny Alford.
Crouch closes in there, 312 and 13 is on the back end of this Corvette as we work onto the front straightaway. One car did come to a stop, now two, as Dan Clark, the amateur pole sitter, is slow out of 13. Christian Clark also took a little bit of a detour, but Johnny Alford has got company for the race lead. Here we go down the front stretch. Look at that Ferrari, inches away.
It's going to be a game of who outbreaks who into turn one, and it's Crouch who wins it. Can he make it to the apex? Wait for him to come out the other side, and it's Crouch ahead of Johnny Alford. So Alford will lead the opening lap, but Crouch takes the lead after that.
And this is the view for Randall White. That lead change out front's going to help him a little bit, but he has to be in front of Terry Crouch. He's in the position, actually, that he needs Todd Alea to finish in, or worse. Based on points, he needs Alea to finish 5th or 6th or worse in this field, and Randall needs to win, depending on where Todd finishes. So he's got an hour to accomplish that, but it's definitely a whole lot of work out front as Joe Antonio trails Johnny Alford out of the hairpin through 100R, or sorry, 300, 200R, 300, one of the R's, anyways, as we work on through turn 10, and Joe Antonio goes off track.
That looked weird. I don't think he was close enough to the grass, but it looks like maybe that he did clip the grass coming off of turn 10 there.
You know, I had some problems there myself, getting ready for this race, taking some practice laps for cameras and B-roll and such, and that's definitely an awkward place when you roll all the way out into the exit curbing there, and I can see why usually you run the chicane configuration here. It's definitely a weird corner to exit, and it can definitely upset the race car on corner exit on the curbing. Point leader Todd Alea 3rd, Randall White 4th, as we work back down to turn number 1 to begin a new lap. Todd Alea purple that time, a 1:33.308.
And you know, Andrew, that time coming down the straightaway, he was just over that 1 second threshold. And I know it's not exactly 1 second because he was able to kind of get that slipstream down the straightaway. And he closed it up to just under a second by turn 1. He's losing a little bit here on the backside of the course. Maybe Alea just gets a great run out of Panasonic Corner. But I'd have to say that probably helped out a little bit on the fastest lap as well. But Alea has the opportunity to keep up here and keep himself in this battle for the race victory.
I think Todd goes for higher downforce setups because we saw a very similar thing at Le Mans where he was just on the outside and he didn't really do anything with that slipstream. The car wasn't able to use the full extent of it. I think he runs a higher downforce setup as Brandon Carl has got problems. This is back in the hairpin. He has turned around and he will get back going. Let's go back and get a replay of this, and then we'll follow up with a replay of what happened to Dan Clark. This will be Brandon Carl, the number 77 Chevrolet Corvette, up out of the hairpin. Just ahead there of Wouter Van Mariek in car 668, and the back end was just around from the get-go.
That's down in turns 11 and 12. That's just a very awkward section. Again, the elevation changes of the course, it kind of shifts the weight around in weird ways. You're not really expecting it when it does kind of come around on you, and kind of got caught out there trying to turn in towards the apex.
It's a little bit late to the issue there for Dan Clark. We'll go back and see exactly what happened. It looks like he had to crab walk all the way back to the start-finish line, all the way back to the pit lane. So we'll get a look here. And this is in turn 11, now into turn 12. Actually, 13. As he just gets loose, comes all the way around, and oh, he caught Clint Fletcher from the get-go. I didn't even realize Clint was involved, but that destroyed the 114. We'll come back to live action here as Ed Sancinelli chases Joao Antonio. This is on board of Sancinelli, the amateur leader and point leader and champion, now that he has started this race today at Fuji International Speedway. So congratulations, Ed Sancinelli, on taking home the championship this season. I think easily the best of the drivers in this class. The only argument would be, of course, David Payne, who goes second in class. But even then, David, I think, just had a few races that caught him out. That's just how it goes in racing sometimes. There's a battle behind these guys. Dale Maxwell, Chris Theis. This is for 12th, and Maxwell goes for a spin. That's going to collect several cars. Fletcher's going to go for a loop, and they're not done. Now they are.
Yeah, not quite as massive as what we saw Thursday there, Andrew, but yeah, Maxwell again. It's that awkward section to turns 11 and 12. That one was on the exit there, coming off the corner. That may be a little bit more of a throttle application than the elevation change here, but still, these cars, it feels really weird in the corners here, because that kind of goes from the downhill, kind of bottoms out at the corner, and it starts working its way up the hill there, coming out of turn 12.
There's definitely a lot of elevation change, and it comes at weird times, as you mentioned, usually on apex of the corner or exit. It's not usually into the corner here at Fuji, so you definitely have to contend with some very odd corner exits that tend to upset the car, and that's what we just saw for Dale Maxwell in turn 12. It's what we saw for Brandon Carl in turn 6. It's what we're going to see, I think, through the course of the day as we work back into the hairpin here. At turn number 6, Mike Nickham goes a bit wide, struggling for grip. And this is really where the best action is. This is where the most battling is happening right now.
Yeah, right here in the midfield of this amateur category, we do see a lot of fun back here. And it really is kind of where everyone kind of comes together. Coming through 11 and 12 once again. Looks like everybody will be all right as they work their way up through 12.
This is now Maxwell on Theis, an amateur driver. Up ahead of these guys is the BMW of Sarnquist, who's missed several races but is back here this evening for round 10. Sarnquist is 12th, Theis in the second BMW there is 13th. Maxwell in that Corvette center screen is 14th. Mike Nickham 15th. Hooter Van Mariek in the yellow M&M's Porsche is 16th. And Christian Clark at the tail end of this line is 17th spot, with Brandon Carl, the last car, running in 18th position. It's a very calm race so far. Even up front, Terry Crouch ahead by a second. Johnny Alford's got a second back to Todd Alea, and it's several seconds at that point. In fact, 2.23 seconds back to Randall White from Todd Alea. And quite frankly, panic button. It's time, Randall. You've got to go a bit faster, unfortunately. And I'm sure Randall's doing everything he can. He also might be fuel saving Emerson, but he has got to be further north than this.
Absolutely. I think, if he is fuel saving, it's going to have to come on a wacky kind of a fuel strategy, right? It's going to have to be a Hail Mary here. It does not at the moment, or in qualifying or before the race, look like he had the pace of the top three to even contend, and then much less get through them and overtake them. He might, need some help with, some unfortunate circumstances in terms of like penalties or incidents. And then also needs to get himself in that position to take advantage of those. So it's a long climb for Randall White. And 2.5 seconds back and continuously losing to Todd Alea.
This through turn number 1, and still Randall White just fighting for grip, and doesn't seem like he's finding it. The car seems a little bit understeery right now. As we work lap 9 of an expected 39. This is one of the shorter circuits on the schedule, and it shows with the expected lap count. As here we go, a pass with a BMW on a BMW. That's Theis trying to work on by Sarnquist, and he has got the spot for now, as Sarnquist has to swallow that one and lose the 12th position and fall into 13th, matching his car number.
Yeah, Sarnquist being back here, of course, wants to get through right here with Theis and see if he can work his way to Ken Eastep. Put a nice little top 10 on the season to kind of close it out. Would be a nice little go here with that shallow line there. That was that's Maxwell on Sarnquist there, and Maxwell got a great run to the corner. Sarnquist took a very shallow line, was not able to get the exit he wanted. Working their way through 300R, turn 10. Maxwell continues to size him up right over that grass, over the exit curbing. Sarnquist tries to deeper into 10 or 11.
Sarnquist hanging on to that position as we work through now into turn 12 and 13. Sean Cole, slow. He is, he's crashed. Look at that car.
Porsche does not look healthy there for the 39 of Sean Cole. Fall back behind that battle we were just watching.
Let's go back and get a look at this as he has some kind of issue in the latter sector of this course. And again, that's 12, 13, that area. He's on his own here out of 7. And unfortunately, it seems like his season is going to end on another sour note. There's been a lot of those for Sean this season. Let's check out what happens here. This is up the hill to turn 11. No issues there. 12. It's going to happen in turn 13. Just tracked out wide onto the...
No.
Oh, my goodness.
Oh, man.
Wow.
No, he did not. He only hit the curb. He did not hit the guardrail there, and that absolutely destroyed the front end of his car.
I don't think he got the memo that he's driving a Porsche 911, not a Ford Bronco.
Yeah. There is no ground clearance on these GTE cars. He felt it there with the sausage curbing there on the exit. You know, normally anti-cut curbs on the inside of the corner.
Wow.
Anti-extend curbs on the exit.
And yeah, they're there for a purpose. They serve a purpose because if you do go wide, you can gain quite a bit of time by carrying more speed through the corner. Let's go on board of them here and just look at what this would have looked like in car. 1 curb, 2 curb, and that's his season just about done right there. I mean, that is one heck of a ride.
I mean, they're effectively speed bumps.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And they're right at the spot where usually if you track out wide and hit those, you're hitting them with the center of the car. It's going to take out an oil pan in real life. And it's not quite as detrimental here, but you can see it really tore this car up. It tore the bumper up, both bumpers, the left side of the car. Sean is having some problems as he works down to turn 1, and I wouldn't be surprised if there's damage underneath the car as well.
Yeah, it looked like he can't even get it down into the braking zone the way he likes to anymore. Definitely like diffuser damage, floorboard damage. It's a tough go here for Sean Cole to try to tough this one out. Now down into 17th position overall.
So on board here with Sean, watch this area. That's not really the best way, I guess, to put that, but here we go. Watch the steering wheel and just watch and kind of see if it's straight up and down or not. And it doesn't look like it's perfectly up and down, or at the very least, it looks like he's having some issues with it walking around into braking zones. Of course, that's a turn, but it's maybe straighter than I would expect for sure.
Yeah, we're not really seeing any counter steer there. We really, I looked like it from the outside view going into turn 1 that he was having to counter the car down in the braking zone, but looks like he might have got away from a little bit there. Oh, even the side skirt severely damaged there.
Yeah, that was the first thing I noticed was all that left side damage you can see on the side of the car. I mean, it is completely torn up.
Tough go.
Oh, he's done it again!
No.
Oh. It gets worse.
This is not a challenge. Please do not take in speed bumps at high rates of speed.
Well, you know what? At this point, let's make it a challenge. See how many speed bumps he hits today. But some battles further up. Chris Schultheis over Kenny Stepp. Schultheis takes the 10th position away. And Mike Nickum and Ola Sarnquist, I believe, just had a battle as they sort that out. Further forward, how about Sam Hinchey? First race that he's made in a while. He is in the 6th position, chasing James Dowell.
Yeah, good to see Sam here and going at it for a top 5 potentially here with João Antonio's misfortune earlier on in the race. This is the battle for 5th. Dowling, Hinchey going at it now through 12, 13. In the Panasonic corner, if you can nail your exit here, if you are Hinchey, you can get a nice slipstream down this incredibly long front straightaway. Try to set yourself up either for a lunge into turn 1 or a great exit out of 1 that can set yourself up for the back side of the course.
Love those wide cameras on the front stretch. Really gives you an idea of just how high up you are with the cameras and just how much there is going on here at Fuji and what it might be like to watch one of these races from the stands. There's a battle behind these guys. David Payne on Ed Sancinelli, actually. Sancinelli headed the wrong direction as this race wears on. We touted about his strength early in this race, and the fact that David Payne was back there in 4th overall, or 4th in class, well, that has changed. And while Sancinelli has this championship locked up, Payne is now leading the race.
Yeah, certainly. Payne, again, he's been one that's kind of capitalized on Sancinelli's misfortunes this season, but right now, oh wow, yeah, a lot of right front damage there for Sancinelli, and part of the reason that I could definitely see Payne having the pace advantage right now. See if Sancinelli's able to keep up though.
On board here with Ed. It's been a rough day for him. Didn't get pole like maybe he should have. Seems like he's been the fastest driver in this class this season, but a little bit off there. Still started inside the top 10, but just has not had a good day, it seems like, at the track. Granted, he's still going to be the champion no matter what, so he can rest easy with that fact. And he's still contending here, honestly, with David Payne relatively impressively.
That's what I was going to say, Andrew. I think he has a bad day, but he did just clinch the title. Going at it here, run. Not pulling out the pass yet. Is he going to start pushing? Lifts.
Saving fuel.
Ah.
Mind games and, well, strategy games between these two. Up front, Todd Alea was just within a half second of Johnny Alford. That gap has opened back up a little bit, but you can see they're still close.
Yeah, this battle for second is really started to pick up here. After Alford kind of lost touch with Terry Crouch, Johnny Alford, the pole sitter, of course. And, a little bit of a bobble there on the exit curbing. We're actually seeing that a lot. Car's not meant to take that exit curbing. The track pretty good. 89 degrees the track temp. The air temp just under 70 degrees Fahrenheit. The wind's fairly calm at 5 miles an hour out of the southeast.
Thanks for joining us here today. Of course, thanks to Emerson for joining me on the call. These double headers with the I Formula League F3 AM Series and Simpit Road Racing Series have been a lot of fun, but I will say as we work into the holiday season, it's going to be nice to have a little bit of a reprieve these next couple of weeks. That said, I'm excited to see where this series goes next, what cars are next, what the schedule looks like, and hopefully we're back on coverage for them, but I know there's been discussion about whether or not that's feasible. Regardless, to the Simpit Road Racing Series, to the Simpit, with Amir Assad, Terry Crouch, Sean Cole, and everybody else behind the scenes, thanks so much for having us. It has genuinely been a pleasure, a privilege to cover this season, and we certainly hope we're back in some capacity in future seasons. Whether or not next season, hopefully down the road, we're able to rejoin, reconnect, and cover more of these races. It has truly been a pleasure, especially with some of the more mature, honestly, and more down-to-earth and safer, let's be honest, racing drivers in this series. It really is a pleasure to be here, a privilege to watch you guys race, talk about you guys racing, and just have a bunch of fun at the end of the day as they work up on a lapped, or about to be lapped, Dale Maxwell. Maxwell pitted, and this is actually his out lap that they are chasing. Terry Crouch leading the way. And hopefully Terry Oh No Crouch can hang on to this one. And don't worry, that he gave himself that nickname. He told me to call him that. I promise.
I'm not going to comment on it.
No, he really did, though. He really did. He came up with that nickname himself. He acknowledges that it's been a rough season.
I know, I've just had a bad commentator's curse, so I'll just leave that alone.
It works on by the lapped Dale Maxwell now. He does have a lot of right front damage, Emerson. That it is a little bit concerning, but of course there's plenty of places, as we've seen with Sean Cole, to do it. But if you zero in there on the right front, I know it moved immediately, but a lot of damage on the right side of that car.
But we're starting to figure out, Andrew, who doesn't have damage. These curbs are brutal.
These guys don't. It's been fantastic watching them so far. As a little bit of a dab, a break there for Alford of the Corvette. Alea in the Porsche just trying to put some pressure on. Sancinelli hits the pit lane early.
So while we thought St. John was saving fuel, and he still very much could have, early stop here, get it done and over with, right? Fill up to the end, and actually, no, that's exactly it. He, saved as much fuel as he can. As soon as he got to the mark where he could come and fill up, did so. St. John won't have to pit the rest of the race.
Here he is working out of the pit lane. 12.3 seconds in the box. 43.87 in the lane. He was a little bit late back to the pit limiter, but that shouldn't hurt him too much. The big concern is right there, actually, in turn one, making that corner. If you make that corner out of the pit lane, fresh out of the pits, you're usually going to be okay.
And again, that is a tough task. You're coming out, well, most of the times like old tires. These drivers will not be. But again, still an altered braking zone because not carrying as much speed. Turn one, Brandon Carl in the box.
Sean Cole also is as well, so he has called it done at least for a little while, getting some repairs. As Carl will pull off and away. A good look there to his number 77 Chevrolet Corvette, 12.17 seconds in the box. Todd Alea, though, working on Johnny Alford. This battle far from over.
Looks like Alford, or it looks like Alea's taking this section right there a little bit better than Alfred. Alfred is getting on the throttle a little bit more. Alea's staying much more calmer on the throttle, staying closer to that inside curbing back there. And Alfred then has to tap the brakes to angle the car into the corner, while Alea is just kind of following the outline of the track there. Now here into turn 10, Alfred actually looks like he's able to gain in the braking zone there. Able to get on the brakes a little bit harder and a little bit smoother. Is able to gain there on Alea.
Now, while we have this opportunity, a big thank you to our partners here with the Simpit Road Racing Series. Of course, the Simpit.com, Gomez Sim Industries, and Get Closer Racing, Accelerate Esports. And I also want to mention, I've just refreshed myself on some news that was dropped, I believe, earlier today about iRacing.com spec maps that you can upload to your cars through TradingPaints.com. It's worth mentioning that they are entirely changing. Well, I say entirely changing. You'll have to redo them all, as the blue channel in the spec map, if you are a painter, you'll know what I'm talking about. The blue channel in the spec map will now be used for a clear coat. So I know this is kind of unorthodox to mention mid-broadcast, but it's worth mentioning so that hopefully drivers that watch this back or that are currently watching, or painters or anybody hears this and knows, for the 2023 Season 1 release on Tuesday, you will need to change all of your spec maps, because if you have that blue channel as just white or not included in your spec map, that will now affect what you have on your car. So just want to get that out there, want everybody to know that, again, it is going to completely change the way spec maps work, at least the way they appear on the car, and all spec maps need to be touched back up. But we have a battle for second between Johnny Alford and Todd Alea, and these guys were a second closer just a couple of laps ago, Emerson. I think definitely there's some pressure right now on Johnny.
So yeah, Johnny again, started off the race fairly well with the pole, of course, but was overtaken very quickly after the first lap was complete. Terry Crouch outbroke him into turn one. Since then, Alfred's lost touch with Terry Crouch, has been subtly pressured now by points leader Todd Alea, but he has held on very nicely. Maybe Alea playing the fuel saving game here. But Alea, I think you're right, Andrew. He's closing with the slipstream, but not as much as we've seen other drivers.
Well, he just saved a bunch there into turn one again, put the clutch in and coasted, and that's exactly what we kind of expect. But I would expect him to gain more on the straightaways. I still think this is a higher downforce setup. I still think he's holding himself back a little bit, as here comes Sam Hinchey down the pit lane. And she pits out of the 6th position after battling with James Dowling. And will come in and grab some fuel again. This is a little bit early. We expect pit stops around the halfway mark, but really not until after the halfway mark. But he brings his Porsche in for fuel. And we'll head back out momentarily. And for a second I thought Schultheis was going to pit too. He was just slow through turn one is all. So he continues on. Terry Crouch, your race leader. As he's got 2.5 seconds back to this battle, Johnny Alford and Todd Alea. Alford opening up a bit more of a gap now.
Yeah, on the backside of the course where should be the advantage towards Alea, Alfred has started to get the best of it. Maybe this Corvette just is better suited.
I will say it looks fantastic. I believe it's a throwback to one of the old C3 era Corvettes. I could be mistaken, but it's what it reminds me of at the very least. And boy, does it look good as he works down the front stretch. While these guys work closer to halfway, we're going to go Pit Stop TV side by side and get ready for pit stops here in the final round of the Simpit Road Racing Series. Welcome back to the virtual Fuji International Speedway. We're so glad you're joining us today on Pit Stop TV for action from round 10 of the Simpit Road Racing Series. While we were in that side-by-side, you might have seen that Todd Alea did make a pass on Johnny Alford, and now there might be a problem. There is a problem for Crystal Theis. He will rejoin the track in the 8th position and continues on. Let's refresh you about the point situation coming into today. It has quieted down quite a bit as Randall White rides 2 positions behind Todd Alea, but it is only a 20-point gap between these two, so anything can still happen. Todd can still lose this championship. He has to stay on it. Randall has to win.
Yeah, absolutely. Todd Alea doing everything right. Randall White needs a Hail Mary here if this is going to get done. It's not out of the realm of possibility. It's just looking increasingly difficult as time continues to tick down. Amateur, of course, is very much decided, but you know, there's other battles throughout the point standings in both of those categories.
Once again, thanks for joining us from Fuji today. Let's take a look at second place in the standings coming into today. Randall White. It's been a rough day. It just has not been a good day, I suppose. It really hasn't even been rough. He hasn't had too many issues. He just has not been as good as he needs to be. He needs to be 4 positions further forward, and he needs Todd Alea to be 5th or 6th or so, and that just is not happening.
Yeah, you know, if it wasn't, you know, championship crowning day, you know, Randall White not having a, you know, a terrible day or anything, but when it comes to it being, you know, for the championship, this is horrific to Randall White's championship hopes. He is far away from anybody in the top 3. Give it about 9, almost 10 seconds now. That's gonna be a lot to make up. You would need a pretty crazy strategy to even make up that time, and then much less get around all 3 of them.
Meanwhile, Crystal Theis did go ahead and pit. He took 14.42 seconds in the box. Joe Antonio, meanwhile, took tires on his stop, so count him out. From the front, he had a chance technically entering the afternoon to win this championship, but that was only by mathematics and not by realistic possibility, and he is officially out of the running for the championship. Sam Holt did not make this race today, unfortunately. Granted, I'm sure he's having a great day watching England in the World Cup, and that's really all there is. Todd Alea is just having a solid day, about 2 seconds behind Terry Crouch, and that may still be a battle. This, though, is Wouter van Mariek, and this is the closest battle currently on track as he chases Christian Clark.
Yeah, this battle up inside the top 10 now, of course. A good chunk of the top 10 competitors before have now pitted, but this battle continues on. This is 56 seconds behind the overall lead and another 25 back of David Payne.
Just continuing to watch this race take place and evolve as there's a problem again for Crystal Theis. He has recently just completely dropped off the deep end a little bit. This race quickly running away from him as he drops now to the 14th position behind Joe Antonio. If you're Todd Alea, though, look, things are looking great. This is exactly what you need. Just ride in the top 2 or so. Obviously, if he can get the race lead, he can get it and, you know, go for it. But no risks need to be taken for Todd. He is in a fantastic position. So long as Randall's not winning, honestly, he's fine.
And even if Randall was, he, you know, just say he'd be, you know, if Randall White was winning, he'd be Terry Crouch and Alea, he'd be 3rd and still doing just fine with a large gap to 5th. So that Todd Alea, it looks like he was getting there on Terry Crouch through the middle of the course. Of course, here on the backside, he's lost about 4 tenths. But if the opportunity presents himself, I'm sure he'll have a go at Terry Crouch.
Well, here are some interesting numbers, Emerson. Todd can now no longer finish any worse than 8th. We had 11 pro cars show up today. 3 of them are out. He can finish no worse than 8th position in class, and that's how these drivers are scored. It's not like the North American Racing League where they are scored overall and then given points from there. They are scored in their separate classes. So the amateur drivers score points separately of the pro drivers, and in this case, that means that Todd can finish no worse than 8th position. 8th, if you're wondering, pays 24 points. At that point, Randall White would need to finish with 44 points or more for today, and that still would require him to win. So that's where things are at. If Randall White is not in the lead, Todd Alea is your champion, period. It doesn't matter where a Todd finishes at that point. If Randall is not in the lead, there's no chance.
And that's kind of what we were thinking coming into today. Realistically, Todd Alea has kind of been a part of the top 3, top 4, top 5 drivers that kind of separate themselves from the rest of competition here. Kind of step here on the pit lane. He was up inside the top 10 overall and near the front in the amateur battle.
And just to elaborate further on that math, Randall would need to win because while Randall would only need 44 points, there is not a position that pays 44 points until first position where it pays 50. Second pays 40. So I know there's been buzz about changing the points format in this league, and maybe this is cause for it. I'm just going to play devil's advocate in that case. I think this is a good points format. Clearly, it's led down to season finale clinching scenarios where we're still talking about the championship in the last race, and there are series where that is not the case usually, and we saw how early Max Verstappen clinched the championship this year, for example. So this is still, I think, a good format. Obviously, missed races have played into it for sure, but clearly we're still talking about a championship battle in race 10 of 10. It's not a matter of just he's clinched and let's just, for formality's sake, finish the race.
And that's what it is, Andrew. I think the missed races they kind of affect each driver differently. Todd Alea missing a race. Well, if he made that race, I don't think we're even talking about a championship today because he had just he's averaged a podium this season. Randall White, he missed a race last week, and that took him out of the points lead. Well, I guess then if Alea makes up his race and Randall White doesn't, then we still have a very tight championship battle. But the missed races at the points they happened in the season, very much kind of decided a championship in its own. Sam Holt now misses 3 races on the season, and he very much was a championship contender up until the 2 missed races here towards the end. All 3 of these guys that are at the top of the pro point standing, they've missed races, and that's kind of broken the momentum of the season for them.
And there are drop weeks to help them a little bit, but not much. I think actually there might not be drop weeks. Now I'm mixing series. I don't think there are drop weeks in this season. And drop weeks would help in some cases. I know guys have talked about that possibility as well, as Randall White will finally come into pit. I know there's been buzz about drop weeks in the series as well. There's been buzz about everything, even championship formats as far as more so than just points, but also the structure of the championship. And I think this season has gone well. I think in a perfect world, all of these drivers make all 10 races, and it's completely different, but I still think we'd have a relatively close battle. Sam Holt might have taken it away. He might have pulled a Max Verstappen from this year, maybe, or a Lewis Hamilton from years past, but otherwise, this has been a fantastic season of racing. And it's not that Sam Holt has ruined anything or has made anything worse. He's made everything great. He gave us an extra driver technically in the fight for this championship, just not able to race today. But I do think if he was to make all 10 races, he would have wrapped this championship up a couple of weeks ago.
Certainly, right? He's had 5 wins on the season. He's made 7 races. The only other 2 races, it was spots within the top 10. Just kind of rough weeks there, but other than that, he really had a very dominant season from the races he made. But it was races he didn't make that allowed Alea and Randall White to kind of shape up their championship battle, with Alea picking up the win at Daytona, and
Elliott should have had the win.
Right.
Here's Sarnquist in the pit lane, 13th spot, and he might give up 14th to Schultheis as he works out of the box. Yes, there goes Schultheis on by. So Sarnquist drops to 14th spot. We saw Randall White's pit stop, and it's worth mentioning that it was a 10.25 second stop. That is quick. That was not a whole lot of fuel. The next fastest stop we've seen so far for fuel was Sam Hinchey at 11.4 seconds. So that's still a second clear of even Sam Hinchey. So I can only imagine the fuel savings that's been going on for Randall White, I just don't know that the seconds he gave up on the racetrack are going to equate to the couple of seconds that he's going to gain from the pit stop.
From the looks of it, no. But I mean, if there's slight miscalculations and it brings the battle a little bit back, and I don't know. I mean, we're still talking, even in a perfect world, without any penalties or incidents coming to play, and maybe he nails it and his competitors just slightly miss the mark. I mean, we're still talking maybe like a 7-8 second lead gap that he has to the podium.
So Randall White is not officially out of this championship, but boy, does it look like he will be. If he had just made Sebring last week, this would be a different story. Here's Wout van Aert on the pit lane, taking the service in his amateur Porsche. In car 668, 9.25 seconds. Boy, is that aggressive on the fuel. Meanwhile, there's Sam Hinchy working by Christian Clark for the 7th spot overall. Christian Clark currently 2nd in amateur class. Sancinelli is 3rd, 14.5 seconds behind these guys, but Clark has yet to pit.
I was going to say, Sancinelli definitely has pitted. He is 45 seconds. No, I can't math. No, it is 45 seconds back of David Payne. And you go about, 47 seconds on the pit lane. So that's going to be an intriguing amateur battle when Payne makes a stop.
It already was. It just kind of got broken up by by Sancinelli pitting early. So we'll see how it kind of works out here in just a little bit. Here is the TLDR SimSport 59 car of Terry Crouch. Notice that one of the TLDR teammates joined the North American Racing League recently and contested on Thursday evening at Road America. Hope to see more of that throughout the course of the season, and maybe even a crossover from Terry over to the GT3 cars there. That would be special. Or really any of these TLDR guys. It would be cool to see them take on the North American Racing League. Out of turn 14, though, Panasonic corner. When does Terry pit? It's got to be coming soon. I'm surprised these guys are going as deep as they are in this this race without pitting. This feels like a place where you would burn a lot more fuel than save.
There's a lot of on-throttle time for sure. We were kind of right on board. There's not a whole lot of places where you kind of coast and save your fuel. Maybe, on the backside of the course, like 11, 12, 13, 14, maybe you can kind of coast through that section. But other than that, it's a lot of on-throttle time, a lot of tight corners, heavy braking zones, on throttle a lot. High-speed corners, we have to keep the throttle on for the most part.
Well, you are able to save mostly in heavy braking zones. So you have turns 1 and 3 for that. You do also have turn 6 here to put the clutch in a little bit and save. I'm sure you can save a little bit through 100R as well. But you're right, other than that, I don't see many opportunities. It's really it. It's turns 1, 3, and maybe even 5 or 6.
And now looking at, with Alea, he's lost about a second to Terry Crouch since, the battle was kind of at its peak. And they're still out here. Is Alea going to be able to make a move here that closes that gap? Give it Payne there, amateur race leader.
He's down and away at 10.85 seconds, and that is significantly faster than Sancinelli's stop of 12.3 in the box. Sam Hinchy goes by David Payne. There's Payne exiting. Where is Sancinelli? There he is down the front stretch. And not even close to going on by David Payne. That said, Payne is going to have to save, I think. I don't think he's going to be able to go full bore. I think he's going to save a little bit, hold back a tiny bit. So the 6-second gap that they have currently might still narrow back up a little bit.
Boy, I was looking at it. I thought Sancinelli may even have been ahead. Wow, that is very nice job there from Payne. If he can now hold it with the fuel saving he potentially has to do, then props to him. Maybe it won't do anything in the grand scheme of things for the title, but it would be a nice kind of bow tie on the season then.
It's always good, no matter your point situation, to win out on the season. So, whether you're second and having to accept defeat while winning, yes, that's bittersweet, but it's nice to say that you won that last race. And of course, if you're the champion, you want to win that last race to cap off the season, right? And it's going to be a little bit sour to win the championship without winning that last race. So either way, it's a little bit bittersweet. And right now, I think David Payne is on the better end of that. And sure, he's losing the championship, but he's getting this last race and setting himself up nicely for whatever comes next in this series. As Todd Alea works through turn 13, I would definitely expect these guys to pit this lap. This is lap 30, coming to 31 of 39.
It doesn't look like they're making a move.
Oh, there's Terry.
Oh, wow. That was late.
Maybe not. No, he's just... Oh, no, he is pitting. Here comes Todd Alea. He faked this out for a second, a big second there as they both come on in. Alea finally comes in as Alfred. There's Alfred. Yeah, this seems to be the mark.
I don't know how accurate it is, Andrew, but, you know, on timing and scoring there, you know, it shows only 2/3 of a second now to get between Crouch and Alea. Now they're traveling at pit speed, but
I think the speed makes a big difference there. As Alea still has a little ways to go to Terry Crouch, but they do pull into their boxes, and they're only a couple of boxes apart. And there's Alfred going right on through via his pole position.
Seconds.
Wow, 9:18. It's a 9:1 for Alea as well, a 9:12 even.
Oh, man.
A 10:03 for Alfred. Dowling is finally into his box.
Get to see kind of the back end then of the Dowling-Hinchy battle.
It's a 9:53 for Dowling. He'll work out well ahead of Sam Hinchy. About 7 seconds or so. So Todd Alea making up some time on the pit lane as far as the pit stop. But Emerson, he's now 3 seconds back of Terry Crouch.
Yeah, I thought the pit entry for Alea was massive, but if only they both hit a 9:1 in the box. It was a 9:12 for Crouch and a 9:18 for Alea. Not enough for Alea to even close the gap. He lost time.
Now 3.3 seconds, and Todd continues to lose time to the 59 car of Terry Crouch. But you know what? What a way for Terry Crouch to cap off the season, right? This has been a rough go for him. Maybe, depending on how this season went, should have been in this conversation for the championship. I think it definitely should have been in the conversation. Maybe should have been in this battle in this last race for the championship this season, at least on pace alone. But he's had a lot of issues, a lot of mistakes, a couple of missed races, and clearly just is not in a position in the championship. He's missed races as a result of health issues, lost races as a result of mistakes on the track. It's been a rough season.
It has. Terry Crouch, he won the opening round at Circuit of the Americas, and since then, it has not been anything to write home about. 2 second places, a third, and a couple missed races, a couple rough patches for Terry Crouch. And instead of finding himself in a battle for the championship, he finds himself, at the moment, maybe overtaking Johnny Alfred for 5th in the point standings.
Meanwhile, I've never seen a BMW quite like that before, and that is Ola Sarnquist. And we've most recently seen him leaving the pit lane. The car did not look anything like that. Something has happened relatively recently. We haven't gotten back to it just yet, so we'll keep going. This is big for Ola. It looks like we found it.
It's been a rough go for him, though. Certainly a little wide there in the grass there through 10.
And this car was perfect and pristine to this point whenever this happens. So it's even more painful then when you have a good race until the closing laps, and then you make a mistake that just completely ruins things, and it's right there, actually.
Oh my gosh.
It's not as egregious as I thought, but iRacing sure thought it was, and it pulls the bumper off entirely.
I'm just imagining that in real life, just going over one of those anti-extend curbs, and a whole front end comes off, like the clip's broke.
Well, he loses his bumper. He was just in a battle with Dale Maxwell and Wouter Van Marie, who are still close together as they work into the hairpin here. Turn number 6. This is for 12th.
Yeah, this battle continues on. Sandquist not able to keep up with the lack of front downforce.
on board here with the Porsche of Van Marique. Out of Benelux, one of the more unique clubs we see on iRacing. And Schultheis has just spun. This is in turn 13, it looks like. He gets back going. For a moment, I thought maybe both of these guys would be able to pass him, but that is not the case as Wooter goes out wide. That's going to open the door for Dale Maxwell, potentially at a turn 14, who goes wide, gets a great run to the corner, but hits the anti-cut, and that great run is over for him.
He was setting that up beautifully, and then a little too much there at the apex. Ate a little bit, got the anti-cut, and that absolutely destroys the momentum. He's not even going to have the momentum down the straightaway, and Schultheis is in.
Yeah, here comes the 008 after his spin in turn 13. And he will come into the pit lane, and that is it for him. He's actually going to take the toe, it looks like, for some reason. And that will be it. Todd Alea gets by Christian Clark. For a moment, I was kind of concerned because timing and scoring said 2 seconds forward, 7 seconds back, but he was side by side. But he gets by that lap number 72. And how impressive is it, Emerson, that the guy who did not make the first race of the season is winning the championship here tonight? 7 minutes to go, sure, but unless he crashes now, and even if he crashes now, well, yeah, I guess he could still lose this race, but it would take a lot.
It's going to take a lot for sure, because Randall White would still have to put himself into winning scenario. And we just lost Schultheis as well. Wait, no, that's an amateur. But yeah, for him, he missed the first race this season. The second race, he didn't place too well. He only got 7th, and I know qualifying 7th, not placing too well, is wild. But from then on, Andrew, it has been second, win, third, second. He has been on it since round number 3. 7 straight podiums, and he's looking for an 8th. If there's any question about consistency, Todd Alea has definitely shown it. It's been wild.
On board here with driver of the 27 car, and he's just been perfect, or at least as perfect as a racing driver can be, right? He's outlasted luck. He actually was the benefactor in that crazy incident at Daytona with Sam Holt. He went on by at the last second to win that race, and that kind of kicked off a whole string of just amazing luck, really, for Todd Alea. Amazing races. He's just been good. He simply has just been good, and I look forward to watching these guys evolve and more battles, hopefully, between Terry, Todd, Randall, and Sam. And even Johnny. How about Johnny Alford in third?
So that's a little statement race for Johnny Alford with the pole position and looking very much on pace with 15-second gap over fourth to hold on to a podium here. Johnny Alford looking to be a force to be reckoned with here going forward. Looking at maybe next season, Alford does not want to just kind of watch the championship battle from afar. He wants to be in it, and he's showing it today with a little bit of a statement, a little bit of closing season momentum to the off season, whatever the length may be for Alfred to kind of look into next season, kind of get that extra practice, set himself up nice, and have a go at him.
Alfred works on down the front stretch. These drivers begin a lap 36 of 39. There's Terry Crouch headed down the hill to Coca-Cola Corner. Just 4 laps to go. These laps at a minute 33 each. That's all the season has left in it as Terry works up to the hairpin. 3.5 laps to go, and it's, again, we keep using the same adjectives. Wild, crazy, insane, what have you, that this season is wrapping up. But it feels like it's taken a while. At the same time, it feels like we started yesterday, or even last week, if you will, and just got this series going with the Simpit on Pit Stop TV. But it really has been a pleasure, as I said earlier, and it has been one of the more exciting series I think we've seen on Pit Stop TV in a long time. And that's nothing to say against any other series, but This has been a fantastic series to watch. So compelling, so many great battles, turns and twists. We never knew until this week. We never knew until today who was going to win the championship.
I mean, it's been great. We've had some phenomenal racing. Again, our first taste of GTE action on the channel, and it's not disappointed. Every race kind of had their own flows. This one has kind of been the most calm that I can think of, but even then, we've had some great, battles. This is the championship finale, and the scenario is just kind of playing out, letting them play out over the course of the hour. It's been fun.
I would agree. This has been the most calm race of the season from what I can recall, but even so, we've had a couple of compelling moments, a couple of crashes. And here towards the end, we're just, admittedly, we're kind of waiting for this race to come to a close, but these drivers have to stay perfect. Todd Alea could still lose this championship, so every corner matters right now for car 27. We cannot understate the meaning of each and every one of the feet he travels on this racetrack right now. It is that much closer to a championship and that much closer to writing his name along some of the best in this league. It's worth saying once more, a big thank you, a big shout out to our partners here with the Simpit Road Racing Series, thesimpit.com, Gomez Sim Industries, and Get Closer Racing, Accelerate Esports, each fantastic partners here of the Simpit Road Racing Series, and allowing us to bring you this coverage this season. 2 minutes to go, and it'll be 2 laps to go here from Fuji International Speedway. A long line of cars headed up out of turn 14, all mixed up on different strategies, all mixed up from different positions, although there are some battles here. Ola Sarnquist, Christian Clark, and they're not far behind Wouter van Mariek, who's not far behind Dale Maxwell, so this for position down the front stretch.
And here we go again. These two go at it. There goes Clark on Sarnquist, and a little wide there at the apex. Over the exit curbing, Sarnquist back on through and trying to cover it off.
Back and forth they go.
Goodness.
Now through 100R, Clark is digging. Boy, does he get close to the back end of that BMW. Now Sarnquist goes way wide. That's going to open the door for the Corvette. No, it does not. Maybe at the other side. There goes Christian Clark finally on by Ola Sarnquist for the 13th position. And Christian Clark, going into this weekend, did not think he'd make this race at all. It's unfortunate, but, found out today his little one is a little bit sick. They couldn't make the trip to the 5K they were going to, and able to run. So unfortunate that his little one is sick. We certainly wish the best there and hope that they're able to get well soon. But it's a good thing that Christian's in the field.
Certainly. Able to kind of have this race give us another car. And looks like we're getting to the final lap here.
Time running out inside of 20 seconds. White flag is out officially at Fuji International Speedway, presented by Whiplash SimCam. As the field comes across the start-finish line, just 1 lap to go here in Japan. Terry Crouch, in the final moments, I think redeeming himself, certainly. Terry Ono Crouch, as Terry win the last race Crouch maybe, as he powers away to victory today. He's still got to get through each one of these corners. But he has looked so good today. Right back to that championship form that maybe he could have had this season. But unfortunately, circumstances that be prevented him from doing so. So he'll wrap this one up, it looks like, though, with a win. Todd Alea behind him in the Porsche. So good this season. As we talked about, the first result of the season, 7th position since then. It's been 2nd or 1st, with I think 1 third place finish maybe. It has been a stellar season for Car 27. Since joining, never missing a beat.
Absolutely. It's been a phenomenal season. Terry Crouch looking to get a nice little win for himself to kind of wrap up what's been an up and down season for Terry. To wrap it up, the way it kind of started. And Alea, again, has been absolutely on it and is well deserving.
Down to the start-finish line. we're going to cap off a season. Terry Crouch is going to victory lane overall tonight at Fuji, but behind him it's all Todd Alea for the championship this season in the Simpit Road Racing Series. And down in amateur, how about David Payne, who's going to walk away today with a victory, maybe, so long as he holds this one. It's a 4-second gap. He's only got to get through the final 4 corners of this circuit, though, as he works through turn 10. Now it's turn 11, 12, 13, and 14, and then a hard press on the throttle to get back to the start-finish. So far, so good for car 73. That said, Ed Sancinelli is going to win the championship this season in amateur. He's had a few new paint schemes, now donning this kind of hexagonal camo paint, but Sancinelli has been oh so consistent this season, good and consistent certainly, and Ed is going to wrap up this season second place at Fuji, but the champion in the amateur class in the Simpit Road Racing Series.
What a year for Sancinelli. Sancinelli has also had kind of his ups and downs, right? Has been one of the fastest guys in the amateur category, but has had to deal with a lot of adversity. And he faced it head on. He's fought through tooth and nail through all the races where he's had early lap spins and early lap incidents. And just when it all kind of came at him, he faced it head on and was able to recover very nicely in all those races. Barring a couple, but had a large enough gap that doesn't even matter.
The field comes across the start-finish line, and that wraps it up here from Fuji International Speedway. Burnouts there from Sancinelli. So deserved as well. In fact, we can even watch them from the gearbox camera, it looks like, on Payne's car. Well, now he pulls away, but they're both doing burnouts down there in turn 1. Emerson, let's go through our unofficial race results from race 10 of 10.
Well, there it is, of course. Race winner, Terry Crouch. His second on the season. And again, kind of wrapping things up the way they started the season for Terry Crouch. Todd Alea with the just good enough performance today for his 8th consecutive podium and the championship. Johnny Alfred there in third, 14 and a half seconds back. A great race for him with the pole. Able to close out the season with a podium. He might just lose out there 5th in the point standings, but his first podium on the season, very nice as well. Randall White will unfortunately come home 2nd in the point standings. Not able to do much about his championship scenario today. And James Dowling wrapping up the top 5 there. Holds on over Sam Hinchy in 6th. David Payne winning the amateur category today, but Sancinelli wins it overall there, finishing 8th with the championship. Joao Antonio had the early off there in the race. He finishes 9th overall, and it'll be 7th in class. And Kenny Stepp will round out the top 10 overall and gets a podium in his class.
Worth mentioning, Terry Crouch led all but 1 lap today, and that 1 lap was led by Johnny Alford. So that Corvette led lap 1, turned it over, and Terry never looked back. Finishing 11th today at Fuji was Dale Maxwell in car 01. Wood of Emmerich finished 12th. Christian Clark there 13th. They finished behind 2 other amateur cars, so 3rd, 4th, and 5th in class. Ola Sarnquist finishes 14th position, Mike Nickham 15th, then Chris Schultheis and Dan Klar 7 and 8 laps down respectively, and finally Brandon Carl 23 laps down, Sean Cole 28 laps down, Clint Fletcher 35 laps down, and that's all cars that made the call today. Terry Crouch is already ready to talk to us for the final time this season, and I find it fitting, find it appropriate, Terry, that you win here in the final race of the season. We open the season with a Terry Crouch victory. We close the season with a Terry Crouch victory.
Yeah, hey, can you guys hear me? I've had some config issues.
We do have you. We do have you.
All right. Look, Ma, no crash for once. Congrats to Todd and Edgar. Todd was such an amazing addition to this. I was trying to get the points done for you, but their site's loading really slow. But he's so fast, so consistent. He doesn't make any mistakes. It's like the gains you try and make out on track are, hundredths or a tenth here and there, and then you make one bobble and he catches up 2 or 3 tenths. So congrats to him. I hope he sticks around. It's a great ad. But congrats to everybody. Really, it was a great season.
Yeah, we've been talking about it for the last 20 minutes or so, how we never knew who was going to win this championship. We never knew what direction things were going to go until really today. And that's saying something, especially with this point system that really rewards winning over second even. And there's been some buzz. I'm going to put you on the spot here, Terry. Do you think there's any changes coming? Or I know there's definitely been a hearing out process so far. What does it look like? What does next season look like for the Simpit Road Racing Series?
Well, obviously, I can't speak for Amir. He has the final say in it, but we put it to a little vote. We'll come up in the off season here. I think the single car with multiple divisions worked out really well. I think the only thing we're pretty set on is we like the single car. We know we don't really want fixed setups because a lot of guys are against that. But as far as the actual car, it's a little bit up in the air, but we'll sort it out because this was really.
It was. This was our first time covering GTE cars on Pit Stop TV, and I think one of the best times we could have asked for covering GTE cars, so I wouldn't even be sad to see GTE return, but congratulations once again, Terry, on a season well done, even if there were some hiccups, some speed bumps, and a race win tonight at Fuji. That's got to feel pretty good.
Oh yeah, half a season driving well is better than no season driving well, so I'll take that. And thanks to you guys, you've done such an amazing job all season. Couldn't be happier. These things are so fun to watch going back later. It's this whole thing's been a blast, so we're gonna have a lot to think about, talk about in the off season.
Well, thanks again, Terry. Congratulations once again. Hopefully we're talking to you very, very soon.
All right, brothers. Take care.
Terry Crouch wraps the season up with a win tonight. But Emerson, how about our series champion?
And it's been a near perfect season for you, Todd. Of course, you missed the first race. You finished second, race 2, but from then on, Todd, 8 consecutive podiums. You and Randall both missed the race, so you said it last week. It's kind of even there. So you're able to get it done. Todd, how does it feel?
Relieved. Lots of nerves. I didn't think I was going to be saying that, but yeah, I'm definitely relieved that it's over. Kind of sad also that, no more racing for a while. I looked forward to every Sunday to race with these guys.
And what has that been like? You kind of came in new. What was it like getting up to speed, kind of finding your place in the series before you kind of went on your 8th straight podium run?
I really didn't know what to expect. Road America, I love that track. And when my buddy told me, hey, there's this GTE series, and there's not too many GTE series around, I'm like, oh, okay, I'm all in. So let me see how it goes at Road America. I tried not to mess up anybody's race, because the last thing I want to do as a newcomer is mess up guys who are established here. And then from there, it was smooth sailing in the way that, racing with other guys, and hard, it's hard to catch up with Sam and Terry and Randall, Joa. A lot of quality drivers in this series. I hope everybody stays together, and maybe we can add a few.
And I have to ask, I know I keep saying it, but 8 consecutive podiums, like, how do you manage that?
I'm this every week, but I just try to stay consistent, manage the tires. Today was no different. I realized the worst thing I could do would be to bin it, so I was very conservative today. My fastest laps were the last 2-3 laps. I'm like, all right, well, let me see if I can make a little run, even though like a lap before I had to slow down. So I was just trying to be consistent and not overdrive the car, and that's kind of, I think, what has gotten me, I guess, the podiums that you mentioned.
Well, there you go, Todd. It has been a phenomenal season to watch you. Again, come in, fresh. Race 3, you get your first podium, and it was just on from there, Todd. You've been electric over the course of the last 8 races, and you're very much deserving of the championship. Congratulations. And do you have any final words to add to that?
I really enjoyed you guys broadcasting it too, so it'll be there forever on YouTube. I can always maybe show it off to my family and friends sometime in the future. I'm like, hey, look, it's not real racing, and like, you're not on the track for real, but it's pretty damn intense and pretty damn close. Today I was watching the new Porsche YouTube series with Michael Fassbender, and he's practicing on iRacing for the tracks that he's going to. So, we're not that far away, I'd like to think. And having the broadcast makes it all a complete, series, race. Everything is complete with the broadcast. You guys really are the cherry on top.
Well, we appreciate the kind words, Todd. Congratulations on the championship. Go celebrate hard, buddy.
Congrats to Terry for winning today. I wish I could have given him a better run, but I was kind of creeping up to him there at the end, and Johnny kept me back a little bit, and I was just trying to be conservative. So, but definitely he deserves it. I'm glad to be on the track with him. Congrats, Terry.
There we go, Todd Alea with a pretty excited interview there to wrap up the season. Let's go on down, though, to amateur class and talk to David Payne, today's race winner. Pretty interesting that we have almost the exact same circumstance between two classes where the champion finishes second, and we have a winner that we wish would have been a little more, I guess, present in the battle, and wish they could have been, I guess, in that battle in the first place. Let's go ahead and bring in David Payne, though, who wins tonight in amateur class at Fuji. And David, actually, okay, sorry, my timing and scoring bugged around there. But anyways, David, you come home with a race win. First of all, forget the championship. How does that feel?
Feels pretty good. If it wasn't for the one race that I was forced to not attend, and put me out of contention for the series win, it was still really nice to be able to keep up with Edgar and know that I have the pace to be at the top of the M class.
And of course, we've been talking about this championship the last few weeks, talking every angle about it, right? And Ed comes in, he clinches the championship realistically, but how do you move forward from this? Obviously, you missed a race, you can't really go back, you can't go back and change that, so how do you move forward from this? How do you prepare for next season?
I think I need to run faster setups, to be honest. I ran safe setups for every single race except for this last one, and I think I just need to step up and run the setups that'll get me that little bit more speed. Yeah.
Well, there you go. David Payne wraps things up here from Fuji. David, it's been fantastic and a pleasure watching you, talking to you throughout the course of the season. And I really do hope we're back, whether it's next season or in seasons beyond that. I hope we're back soon to talk to you guys some more.
Thank you very much.
David Payne this evening winning at Fuji. Let's get on down, though, to the main man, I suppose, in this amateur class, Ed Sanchadelli, with the championship.
And Ed Sanchadelli has put on a phenomenal season. Making all 10 races was one thing, but in all those 10 races, 9 podiums. Ed, what kind of bow tie do you put on this season?
Oh, a big one, because it took a lot of work. It took a lot of work, and it's not just me. My family putting up with me doing this stuff, friends, and people that support me. But then again, you guys, the Simpit, Get Closer Racing, and all the guys involved behind the scenes. I mean, that all makes it come together, and that always makes it easier for a driver to be able to focus and do what they got to do.
So it really looked like it lit up for you here in the back half of the season. What was it? Preferred tracks or what was it? You got 3 of the 5 race wins. You get the second place today. What was it kind of here on this back half of the season that really just sealed the deal for you?
I think the first half of the season, the tracks were a little more stressful for me. Coda, things like that were tracks I was not really comfortable with, and then things got a little bit better towards the second half. I felt more comfortable, like I had been there before and had more laps on them. However, Fuji I had never been at, but obviously I had a little less pressure here and just wanted to. I kind of had a different mindset in the setup here, but yeah, I mean, definitely the practice. I know some of the guys aren't able to practice as much as I have been, and like I said, I owe my family the time allotted for that, because they picked up on some things that I was always practicing as much as I could to be able to do this. So that's what it took, I think.
And of course, with the great runs you had in the amateur this season, you can look overall as well. You went toe-to-toe with a good bunch of the pro drivers this season. What do you think that says about you kind of overall in this series?
I think it says I'm just the hard work. Hard work pays off. I mean, I drive a lot of different cars, but I try to put in the time, and the ones that really give me a hard time. So, and as long as you can try to find the weak points, that's what really will make you come up and gain that consistency to be able to run with the pro guys. But even then, I mean, anytime I'm next to the pros, I always see that something new, something that I try to pick up from them every lap, every corner.
Well, there it is. 9 podiums in 10 races. Ed Sancinelli is your amateur champion this season. Ed, congratulations on the title. Do you have any final words?
Like I said, I just want to thank my family, my wife and family, friends, FritoSportRacing.com, the team, and it's been a great league. There's a great community, and thank you guys for such an amazing broadcast that you always put on. Really look forward to watching it.
Appreciate the kind words. Congratulations. Celebrate hard, man.
Thanks. Take care, guys. Have a good time.
Ed Sancinelli with a pretty good way to wrap things up, and just always was a lot of fun to talk to after these races. Glad he was able to get this championship for himself, and I'm excited to see, like I said multiple times, where this series goes and what stands ahead for these drivers, for these teams, for this series as a whole. With that said, Emerson, that's 10 races done and dusted. There's no more competition really to talk about, so let's focus on what's next for Pit Stop TV, and this is it. Of course, you see Simpit still in that slot. We just had a show right before this, so we couldn't edit the graphic in between broadcasts, but we can at least focus on what's ahead after that. Monday and Tuesday, the next 2 days. In fact, the next 7 days, we are live, and I think that means 1, 2, I got to count here. 1, 2, 3. So actually 10 broadcasts, I think, in a row over the course of 8 days. That is what we have. We've already gotten through 1 of these days, 2 of these broadcasts, which means we have 8 broadcasts to go over the course of 7 days, which is a lot still, thanks to Elite Performance Industries and their Speed Week event coming up this week. It starts tomorrow night at 7 p.m. Eastern from Five Flags Speedway. Miatas and Street Stocks, Emerson, what do you think of that combo?
Miatas and Street Stocks, that's kind of the bread and butter of rookie class racing here on the iRacing series. Kind of back to how things started. Now we don't really run the Miatas on ovals, because they're the road rookie car, but they're a lot of fun. It's gonna be crazy to figure out. Five Flags, fun track. Can't wait to see what this sort tomorrow night.
And yeah, you're hearing us right. You're seeing that right. Mazda Miatas, the MX-5, on the oval at Five Flags Speedway. That race is first. Street Stocks are second on the night. And then Tuesday, we will have Volusia Speedway Park for the first time this week with Dirt Legends and Midgets. Wednesday, we've got Big Block Modifieds and 410 Sprint Cars at Volusia. Thursday, it's a change over to eNASCAR Trucks at Five Flags Speedway. That'll actually go off at 6:30 Eastern, a half hour early to accommodate for the North American Racing League event at VIR shortly thereafter. And then Friday, it's a return to dirt with late models, both pro and super, on the dirt at Volusia Speedway Park. Then Saturday, we begin a doubleheader weekend of Five Flags action. First off, we have late model stock cars followed up. No, sorry, we have SK Modifieds on Saturday, followed up by Tour Modifieds, and then on Sunday we have late model stock cars followed up by super late models. So a full week of short track racing, and it all begins tomorrow. You do not want to miss this on Pit Stop TV. A lot of the big names are coming out along with Elite Performance Industries. It's going to be a lot of fun. I think we might even have a eNASCAR iRacing Coca-Cola Series driver in the field, of course. Michael Conti might be in the field. We'll see. I know he's involved over EPI. I actually don't have an official word yet, but I'd imagine he's going to make an appearance at some point or time, including some others. So Emerson, plenty of places to keep up with all of this, and I definitely recommend that people do so.
Absolutely. Check out, of course, all of our social media outlets and platforms. Our Facebook page at facebook.com/pitstoptv. Our Instagram, of course, at instagram.com /pit_stop_TV or at pit_stop_TV. Our Twitter at pitstoptv_. We were live to Twitch today at twitch.tv /pit_stop_TV. And our YouTube channel, of course, youtube.com /c/pitstoptv1.
that will do it for us this season. And it's always difficult to wrap up these seasons, always difficult to say the last few words of a season on a broadcast. But let's give it a shot, Emerson. It has been fantastic. I really have been very, very pleased with this Simpit Road Racing series. And as I've said multiple times, privileged to cover it. Certainly. It's been a pleasure. It's been a privilege. I have really, really enjoyed this series. Made a lot of new friends. Really enjoyed talking to Terry Crouch between races. Really enjoyed talking to these drivers after races. I just enjoy being here. I enjoy my new time now in the Simpit Discord and just in that community in general. And I really feel like this is one of the places that iRacing drivers need to be if they are involved if they're interested rather in being involved in the community. The Simpit is one of the places to do it, if not the place to do it.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. All the drivers, very nice and great people here. The racing has been phenomenal. I'm glad I got to cover a good chunk of the season and kind of be privy to these races. Our first times having GTEs on the channel, and it did not disappoint. It was a phenomenal season. Of course, congratulations to Ed and Todd for dominant seasons in their own regards, and very well deserving champions for some amazing seasons.
For the final time this season, thank you so much to our partners here for the Simpit Road Racing Series, thesimpit.com, Gomez Sim Industries, and Get Closer Racing, Accelerate Esports. That will do it for us this season, and of course, from Fuji International Speedway, thanks so much for joining us. That's actually the wrong B-roll. I hope I haven't been showing that all day today. It's two Japanese tracks. They've been confusing me, not gonna lie. But there we go. That is Fuji on the screen for you. Thanks so much for watching. We will see you next time at Pit Stop TV, hopefully tomorrow night, for the launch of EPI Speed Week from Five Flags.